Hello and welcome back to the shop. Josh here, 55210. So for today, this video is going to be focusing on patching in the outer wheelhouse on the passenger side. I had kind of filmed this interspersed with working on the inner structure. So I did some work for inner structure, moved over to the wheelhouse, back to the inner structure, back to the wheelhouse. But the video wound up being way too long. So filmed this little intro as a cut-in, so sorry if it seems a little disjointed. But I wasn't going to replace the entirety of the outer wheel tub because a lot of the sheet metal was still in really good shape, especially where the inner support for the sail panel goes and where that attaches to. There's a flanged area at the bottom of that where it meets with the top of the wheelhouse, and that was all solid and not even like surface rusted pitted. It was in really good shape. So I decided to trim the panel and weld in an outer section. So coming up here we'll be doing that work to get the outer wheelhouse in place. It won't be as long of a video as my normal ones are, but it was just too much to have into the previous video, so we get this one specialty all its own. Gonna do a rough trim right here where this kind of silver Sharpie is. Notch that out for around here. I'm not replacing the entire outer wheel tub. A lot of it is good, but you can see this half was all nasty. There's a lot of pitting here, so I'm gonna cut it up here and then bring it out. And a lot of the front where it met and overlapped as well was bad. So I'm just gonna notch this top side for this piece because I'm not gonna be joining it within a couple of inches of that brace. And then I can push it up against it and hold it, get it lined up better. Then I need to grind through and take this tab off, clean the base metal up here, and get that all cleaned up and ready to go. This is kind of the rough fit up here. It's looking all right. I'll need to use my clamps and pull it in. Maybe some self-tappers or something to hold it in place. But it's looking okay right there. I'd like to test fit the quarter skin on here just to see how it looks. This is sitting a little bit outside of where it should be. You can see kind of how far out it is. So I'm going to be pushing the quarter skin out, but I just want to have a look. Pretty close there. need to take that lip off. I won't need it. I'm not wrapping around the front. That'll help me push it up against it. Let's see what we got down here. Okay, I'll need to make a cut there to tip that under. Okay. Okay. Not too bad. So I've got the outer wheelhouse held on with a couple of self-tappers in here. I've got it pinched up with some clamps as well, so everything's lined up. So I've got a couple of them in as a guide. So this one's right on the edge of where they overlap, down here where I've cut off. And then it goes to about an inch outside of this screw. And then a couple inches from about here from this one. So I'm going to come down this way, cut in, and hit that screw there. Over to that one, yeah, about right there. And that'll let me have a nice butt weld for this thing. So enough yapping, let's start cutting. So I wanted to prep the edge, even though that's weld through primer. I don't even want that on here. And then on the underside, I had to grind off what was left over from the spot welds, the core from the cutter, and then clean up the undercoating and dirt and such on the underside of this metal so it doesn't contaminate my weld. I got it rough clipped up there. Got the edge clecos holding the back side, but won't be welding that gap. I've got some tweaking to do just to get this thing pushed in, get it clamped up and held in place. So I had it pretty good across the top, and as I was working that bottom piece, apparently tension pulled this over. So I'll have to take those clamps off and then loosen these ones up, adjust some stuff, probably tack the front side up to a certain point to allow the back side to bend and pull in and get that hole aligned back up where it was. But pretty much out of time today, this evening. Got to run inside and help with the little ones, so we'll be back out here in the morning, and hopefully by the end of tomorrow, goal is I'll have this thing on, and I'll have the whole quarter skin on, and this side can essentially be called done. So that's my goal. We'll see if I can get to it. So, I'll see you guys in the morning. All right, next day. It's already the afternoon. Had a lot of errands and stuff to run in the morning, but let's pick up where we left off. So I cleaned up a bit after the video, just swept up. Also put on seam sealer and another coating of the self-etch primer. So figured I'd get the seam sealer while I could reach these places. Sealed up that whole inner side. But like on the inside here, once I get this welded up as well, I'm going to have to fill that with seam sealer. But I also drilled these two holes. The original panel had rusted out by the drain holes inside of that top of the rocker, and that's so when water, if it gets in through here and puddles down there, it can get out. So I put those two holes there to allow that water to get out. Now I'm working on fit up on this panel. So I put some facets to it while I was doing the grinder and kind of match cutting it, and that allows me to like match up these points. So it's coming and then kind of angled in here and then turned in underneath this clamp, and I was able to align that up. Same thing right here. It has kind of a angle change to it. So this is a little wider gap than I want, but it's kind of holding some tension. So I need to get a couple of tack welds in place and be able to push this stuff down. I don't know if you can tell, but this side is actually up a little high compared to this one right now. These little clamps, I really like these alignment clamps. They set your gap nice so you can get proper penetration with your weld. So it's good right there, good through here, and then starts to get a little tall right here. So I'm going to get a few tack welds done on this side and on the front side, and then work my way towards the middle and kind of squeeze these things together so I can get this seam done, because I really want to get the quarter panel on today. It's already Thursday of the week that I took off, and I've spent basically 4 days stripping this body down, pulling stuff apart, and I haven't got much work done on assembly yet, and, you know, fixing stuff. So that's what we're doing here. Anyway, I'm gonna get my PPE on, get the welder fired up, and start burning some tacks in. So here's a good example of a tack weld and kind of my process. I figured I'd get up close and show you while I'm doing this. So when there's a gap like this, and I intentionally set it, but sometimes it gets a little wider than I want. But even with a proper gap, when your metal is older and such, you have something, you'll see you start to get a little bit of a keyhole. So on this one, it's on the top right. This one, it's on the left-hand side. It'll just start to form. So what'll happen is, when I start my tack, I'll actually tack on one edge, and then I'll tack on the edge of the other piece. Just burp, burp on either side. It builds up a little bit of a base that's thicker. And then I'll hit the third one in the gap in between and kind of drag it. So hit over here and then pull down real quick. Bloop, and you watch the metal fill across. Same thing. Boop, boop, boop. And just start stacking a few. And once you get the intermediate ones, and they're about every 1/2 inch, then the weld seems to act as a heat sink when you've got a whole bunch of them, so you can do your in-betweens. You don't have as much problem as the initial ones. Now, when there are problems, I've got something over here. I think I've showed it before. This is a copper bar. You can use aluminum as well. I just happen to have copper, and I like it. But you can clamp this thing up. I've got some curve to it on one side and straight on the other. But you can clamp it up as a backing piece. Fill that in, and you see that copper in the back side. You put that on the back side, and then where you have a large gap, you can just point the filler metal directly at this thing inside the gap. Start on one edge, burn it real heavy on the other edge, burn it real heavy, and then hit in between. With this backing bar up against it, it'll absorb the heat, so it won't have the sheet metal like melt back on you and burn back and blow a big hole. And the steel won't stick to the copper. You can also use aluminum for it. So just wanted to give a little weld tip there. If you're having trouble blowing through stuff, don't do it in free air. That can be difficult. Use some sort of backing bar of aluminum or copper, or brass, bronze, whatever you have. But those tend to have the other alloying elements that kind of stink, just like galvanized steel. You don't want zinc, it stinks. So pure copper or aluminum is easy to get. Just get some angle, or a straight bar or whatever, and it'll absorb that heat and allow you to get your tacks on large gaps. And I've got a spot right here where there's actually like a 1/4 to a 3/8 gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that with the end of the copper bar right up against it, and that'll allow me to get the weld in there and fill up that gap. I don't have to worry so much about fitment. So there's no such thing as cheating when it comes to welding. Just get stuff stuck together. Next step I'm going to take here is knocking down the weld tacks with a hammer, as well as kind of massaging the metal flush against itself. Just kind of put the backing bar across, you know, however you can get it to sit flush on the weld. And I'm going to grab some hearing protection because this can get loud. So I got all those spots hammered down. It's looking pretty good all the way along. Got a little gap here, I'll deal with that. But it's looking all right. So I will have to use my copper backing bar in a couple of spots. Just I couldn't get the gap quite tight enough, but that comes from these panels not being exactly the same shape and cutting through two at the same time with them not butted up exactly against each other. You know, I ran the self-tappers in to try and hold the outer wheelhouse as close as possible. But, you know, that's about as good as you can do when you're cutting across a compound curve on two different panels with a compound curve. You're not going to get it perfect. So I just got as close as I could. So it's going to take me a few minutes to get this much weld put in. So I'll come back after I get the rest of this all secured. Well, that took a little while. It's a lot of inches of weld there going all the way around. But it looks all right. Got it buried in seam sealer. I just sprayed more of that primer inside because I've got several cans of it. So get here on the inside. Need to grab my light. Okay. So the inner piece has a rust hole there I've got to take care of. And I still need to fill in that one screw hole, but you can see the weld on the inside and how it looks the same as it did from the other side, just tack after tack after tack until it makes a whole bead. So yeah, I've got one more hole to fill there. Need to make another tab extension that comes up to replace this one that I'd cut off and kind of fill in that spot. So there's a little more to do, but not stuff that can't wait until after I get that quarter on here. I really want to get that quarter skin on. Well, I think that about wraps up working on the outer wheelhouse. The structure is nice and strong again in that inner quarter panel area behind the door striker. I got the outer wheelhouse welded in where I've got that nice flange now, the lip for the wheel opening, where I didn't have something strong there. It was pretty Swiss cheese beforehand. I didn't have something that I could weld the quarter panel to. Now I do. So next video coming up will be putting that quarter skin on. So stay tuned, and thanks for everybody who's been watching and subscribing. I will catch you next time.